What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Killing Floor 3 video. Now, I love the Commando class. It's the first class I maxed out in Killing Floor 1 and 2, so when keeping that tradition alive, I did the same thing in 3. So I spent a lot of time with each weapon and each possible attachment combo. Not to mention some of the perk combos that you can pull off by combining 2 or more traits. So I want to show you how to get started in this class if you're just getting your feet wet, or if you're close to max level and want to optimize your build. It's a video for everyone no matter how far you've progressed. Now let's get into it. Alright, let's start with your starting weapon, the Wraith. Now with the first few levels, you aren't going to be able to infill with any attachments. But once you hit level 4 or 5, you'll be able to slowly add one attachment at a time. And honestly, that should only take you like 2 or 3 normal games. Once you get up to the mid-20s, you'll be able to afford the 4 attachment build, which is really nice. And remember, you don't get to keep any extra money from your budget once a match starts. So use every dollar you can before you get into wave 1. If you're starting out at a low level, the very first attachment you're going to want to add is the hollow point rounds. This ammo type gives you extra damage against flesh. And in the first 2 rounds of the game, that's pretty much all you're going to be seeing. An extra damage first is definitely more important than, say, an optic or an expensive magazine attachment. For the rest of the 4 attachment build, we have a suppressor, which is going to give us more recoil control, accuracy, and more Z time. Which if you're a commando, Z time is the name of the game here. Now for the 3rd attachment, you could add an underbarrel attachment, but honestly, I don't think you need the extra recoil control, so I opted for an optic. The accuracy and recoil bonus is nice, but the increased 3% critical damage is just another way to boost the DPS on this weapon. And while I don't mind the iron sights in this game, I've noticed that longer ranges in full auto mode, you need to aim down just a little bit to keep your eyes on target. It's just too much visual recoil. Lastly, we have the final attachment, and it's the expensive one, the fast action receiver. This increases the fire rate and adds 10% more damage. With all of these extra damage perks combined, this gun can greatly increase your survival odds in hard mode and even Hell on Earth. And since you're going to be infilling with this weapon no matter what level you are, you might as well make it as good as it can be. The Stormguard class is easy. We don't use it. I don't particularly like this gun, and I'm able to go from the Wraith to the Scar very easily. Round 1 and 2, use the Wraith, buy some ammo, maybe an armor tier in between, and then pick up the Scar starting at round 3. And the Scar is going to be our main endgame weapon here. With all 6 attachments, it does cost 5,300 Dosh once it's fully kitted out, but this thing is a killing machine. Again, if you're low level, this 4 attachment version will work just fine for normal road runs. Just take off the receiver and the optic. I actually like the Scar's iron sight, so this works out if you're able to save on some Dosh. Alright, now for the real endgame version, let's talk ammo types. And I got 2 words for you, buddy.
I'm a pussy.
And look, I've tried out all the other ammo types. Acid rounds, hollow point, and armor piercing is just the way to go. The other 2 types are great at dealing with bonus to flesh damage. Heck, on hard mode you can body shoot most of the Zeds and you'll be just fine. But the AP rounds deal bonus damage to husks and sirens, and certain weak points on chainsaws and flesh pounds, with no downsides. It's neutral against every other enemy type so you can't lose. Next up, we have the suppressor again for the same reasons as the Wraith. And look, the compensator only adds 5% more recoil control, but gives you no accuracy or Z time bonuses. So just use the suppressor. I like the foregrip over the laser to help you hit those harder to hit shots. Looking at you, rooftop husks. And over for the optic, I like the red dot more than the reflex for your Scar. Just personal preference. Now I actually do prefer a drum mag over a fast mag. I've seen a lot of people here say the opposite. I'd rather have fewer reloads, especially against special Zeds and bosses, than having to reload every 6 freaking seconds. I tried the fast mag, it's just not for me. And lastly, I have the heavy frame receiver for 25% more damage, at the cost of just a little more recoil and barely any fire rate reductions. And then just real quick, I'm going to go over the tier 3 bonuses here. If you're just starting out, make them good, you can make them perfect later on. Just make blue versions of everything, and then re-roll once you want to get to purple. Don't waste all your biosteel trying to roll perfect bonuses first, especially if you end up not even sticking with the class. For the AP rounds, I added more stumble. It's more crowd control so you don't get swarmed as easily. Suppressor, I went for 3% bonus damage when you're standing near at least one teammate. More damage is always nice. The foregrip has 5% more damage to bosses. I like at least one of these effects. Speaking of these effects, the devs confirmed that you can have 3 of the same effect before it no longer stacks, which is good because I have critical strikes on 2 pieces here. I have this on the receiver and the optic, which adds a 3% chance to deal 50% more bonus damage. And that ain't bad. And then on the drum mag, I have 7 more damage when the magazine is down to its last quarter, so the last 12 bullets or so. Another win for the larger magazine gang. If this was on the short mag, you'd only get this bonus for the last 5 bullets instead of the last 12. Okay, and real quick before we go to perks, if you want to use the Knight's Bridge, in my opinion, this is the best build. Since this thing costs so much dosh already, you really can't afford a magazine or a receiver, unless you want to pick this up for like the final round. This is my build though, try it if you like it, but I actually prefer the Scar over the Knightsbridge. And for the pistol, I don't do anything with it. You can add hollow points if you want, but you don't need more than like 2 attachments. If you want to go that route, maybe the fast mag on this one. 9 versus 10 rounds ain't that bad for a faster reload. Alright, now let's talk about perks. Some of these are going to be kind of obvious, but some of them actually have synergy with others, so you could go A or B with these. First perk, Insider Trading or Fire Sale. More armor on the surface seems nice because it'll help you stay alive longer, but honestly, Fire Sale, you're going to be spending a lot of money on ammo. Just go ahead and get the extra ammo capacity so you don't run out in the harder waves, and then also just make it cheaper so you can get your better guns faster. For Throwable, there's actually 2 ways you can do this. The first way is a bigger bang with extra grenade explosion radius, and then pair that with cluster bombs. If you just want a huge, like, wide AoE nuke, this is totally fine. Otherwise, if you don't want that, what most people tend to like, and honestly, I think I like this a little bit more, is Think Fast. This makes it so grenades explode on impact, and at level 3 you actually don't take damage from your own grenades. And pair this with Corrosive Explosion, so you can have acid rounds. The grenade deals a little less damage, but that lingering acid also applies Panic, which is good for crowd control. So either way. For the gadget, I like more crowd control, so I picked Market Panic +3. This makes the Hellion acid clouds linger 60% longer. And then Panic interrupts enemies, causing them to helplessly writhe, so they just sit there and let you shoot them. Guardian Angel for reduced damage, don't really like this one. I don't think this is a very good option. Acceptable damage is okay, but I think more crowd control is better. Alright, for the tier 2 perks. So there are 2 perks that'll actually increase your damage. Offset and Barrels Blazing. So you're pretty much going to want to pick these no matter what. Offset says when your magazine is over half full, you get more Stumble, which is more crowd control. And when it's less than half full, you get an extra 25% damage. And if you're running the drum mag like I recommended, this 25% extra damage is going to last a lot longer. Only one choice here, grenade capacity increased by 1. This is another one with a good choice. Extended coverage lets the acid clouds linger for 2 seconds longer. Obviously, you can upgrade it and have it be 3, 4, 5 seconds. And then if you pair that with Smog Warning, the acid clouds will deal extra damage for each second they're sticking around. So this is a good little combo here, extra acid. But the way I've done is widen out for more AoE. This makes the acid clouds reach 40% larger areas, and Boom Cycle is going to increase the number of projectiles. At tier 3 we have Not Dead Yet, which gives you basically a bonus life every 10 minutes. You can't upgrade this to 987 minutes, but honestly this feels like you're just planning for failure. Booster Shot is going to be always good. You get 2 extra syringes and it heals you for an extra 25 health, but as you upgrade it it'll be 30, 40, 50. So it just makes your syringes better and you get more of them. These ones we already talked about. For here, we have Easy Upgrade, and honestly, the name speaks for itself. This is an easy upgrade. It makes the Hellion deal 35% more damage. This doesn't do anything for the acid clouds, but honestly, this is very good when you're pulling this out against chainsaws or flesh pounds. Slow Dance is alright, it adds more crowd control, but I feel like we have enough crowd control already. Caustic Cure is okay if you need a little bonus healing, but honestly, I haven't feel like I needed that. This is a fine way to go, though. Alright, we have Get Loaded and Time and Again. So Get Loaded makes your weapons automatically reload if you're constantly swapping, but honestly, I don't really do that, so Time and Again is very good. Since we are playing a Commando, we definitely want to be aiming for the head pretty much always. I mean, just like in Killing Floor 1 and 2, Commandos and Z-Type just go together. Another grenade capacity increase. Okay, for this one, you can either get 3 more Hellion rounds, or we can make our Hellion just return faster. And honestly, quick return is the way to go. I'd rather have 2 activations during a round than one that lasts, you know, 3 more projectiles. Alright, and for the final perks. Limb Reaper, Barrels Blazing, a Real Ranger. Like I said before, this is the one that's going to increase your damage. Once you get up to 10 stacks of Blaze, which you'll get pretty fast, you deal 30% increased weapon damage. Just hold down the gun, 30% more damage. It's way better than destroying enemy limbs for a 20% boost for 5 seconds. Or turning your stim into some kind of combat boost. Alright, for the last throwable, we've got Scavenger, Action Hero, Money Spinner. Money Spinner just gives you extra dosh when you're destroying things. That's unnecessary. Action Hero does give you more Z time, so it's not bad, but honestly, Scavenger is just the way to go. Every time you destroy an enemy head, you get a stack of Scavenger, and once you get 9 stacks, you get a free grenade. Usually on a round, you'll get 2 or 3 grenades back, especially on the longer ones when you're playing in 6-player. And finally, we have Smog Warning, Boom Cycle, Survivor Type. Survivor Type is another one of those things that keeps you alive, but honestly, I haven't picked a single one at this point, so why would I start now? Smog Warning is a very good combo if you're trying to do the whole extended coverage Smog Warning thing, but since I am not, I'm going with Boom Cycle. This increases the number of secondary projectiles to 8 or 9 or 9 once I get it leveled up. It also increases the spread, which helps us with widen out. So basically, do you want longer acid clouds or do you want wider acid clouds? That's the way you can go here. Just like with here, you can go instant acid grenades or cluster bombs with a bigger bang. So you do have 2 ways to kind of build this commando. Alright, that should wrap up this video. Thanks for watching. If you guys have any questions, just leave them in the comments below. I read every comment. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more Killing Floor 3 content, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.